Come on. Ooh.
That
There
was
we
a
are.
teaser. Hello. Welcome to the Teachers Pep Rally. We had a couple little, drumming, little introductions.
There we go.
Psych you all out.
I don't know what that delay was.
What was that?
It's because it was the music intro, and our guest is in the music industry. So, it was just, it was all meant to be. Anyways, we welcome our guest today, Dr. Andrew Cowell, Drew, who's celebrating 18 years in music education. And you're beginning your 9th year as the director of vocal music and choirs up in Illinois. You're mostly a high school educator, right? Welcome, Drew.
Yes.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, you're going to fit in great. We've got, if you're watching us in real time, or if you watch us on YouTube later, we've got some Disney things being represented in people's apparel. Actually, I'm the only one who's not.
First time.
I just realized.
And that's a first time.
Usually I'm not.
I know. Usually I am. But welcome, Drew.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Actually, I think you and I met in a group that's primarily made of educators who love Disney. So we're all in good company here.
I don't think it was. I think it was just in like a Disney fan group.
Oh, nice.
I think it was a blogger group, actually. I don't want to say anyone else, but I think, and then I just talked about taking my own students down there, and you were like, "Oh, let's talk."
Oh my gosh, yes! As soon as I saw that, I was like, "I've got to connect with this guy. I think he'll be a perfect guest." So, tell us a little bit about yourselves. You're obviously a veteran in the education space, but tell us a little bit. Like, how did you become a teacher? Is this you went out of college into teaching, or were you like me, where it was a second career?
So I wish I could say that I went right out of college, because now as I'm on the second half looking at retirement, I'm sitting here going, oh, I wish I would have started 2 years earlier, 3 years earlier, 4 years earlier. So, and when you say up here in Illinois, I'm actually down. So I'm closer to St. Louis. So when most people ask, like, where in Illinois are you from? I usually just say St. Louis, because people assume what suburb of Chicago, and I'm actually just 20 minutes from downtown St. Louis on the Illinois side. Nice. So for me, I grew up in very small cornfield country, rural Illinois. And I grew up I did not have a program. I mean, the high school that I went to, we had music that rotated, band on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, choirs on Tuesday, Thursday. And that was after we complained that there was no choir. And so the guidance counselor taught choir on Tuesdays and Thursdays for us. And we convinced them to do a musical my senior year. And that kind of became student ran, and we got it off the ground and did one and that kind of thing. And I went to college for theater performance, music theater performance, and realized that I knew nothing, and had to kind of start again, and fell into, because here's the thing, people I think will get this. I was a pianist, and I wanted to, then they decided, okay, music education is where I want to go. Well, there's no space for educators that are piano players. You either have to have a vocal certification or a band or orchestra certification. So for people that play just piano, there was no place for me to go. And so I started taking private voice and just fell in love with it. Ended up doing 4 years. I went to Murray State University, go Racers. And then I was on a full ride scholarship, and my GPA dropped too low, and boom, I was out of it. By way of, it's a made for lifetime movie. I ended up in Alaska for a bit. I ended up all over the place doing all kinds of weird stuff. Came back home, and then finally in 2006, was able to finish my music ed certs. And then after that, I fell into a space that I was like, okay, this isn't even a career. This isn't even a job. This is a passion.
Mhm.
It's been deeply rooted in vocal performance, especially choral performance. I have a severe love for all types of music, specifically popular forms of music. I believe that they are grossly neglected in the music education realm,
Yeah.
in classroom as, like here are things we're going to sing, here's things we're going to do. We steer away from popular music, and it's such a great entry point, point of entry to like get to kids. And also to say that it's not worthy when it's a child's music is the kid hears I'm not worthy. Like my music's not worthy. And we have to like kind of change that perspective. So I'm really heavy into popular music. In fact, I've changed it to the idea of commercial music or vocational music, which my district loves. And I can talk a little bit more about that, but just I lean heavy into that. Music theater has always been a passion of mine. So I currently serve as a director. I fell into a great school that has a well-developed theater program where we're doing 5 shows a year. That's a heck of a season.
Wow.
And I direct one of them, the children's musical. I am the tech director for our big spring musical, which is crazy. Here's the spring musical. I'm the choir teacher, and I don't even touch the music or the acting or anything. I build the sets, I aim the lights, I do all that. And it just, I stay and work regularly as a performer myself because I feel like I need to stay relevant as a performer myself. Sang for years with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra's chorus. Still play piano and perform throughout the St. Louis area. And like since I've gotten my doctorate, and my doctorate is specifically in around equity and inclusion in the music education space. Because of that, now I'm starting to wear other hats within my district and as a clinician in my state and nationally and things like that. So, yeah.
Wow.
It's my long lost brother right there.
I was
Holy
gonna
cow.
say.
Alaska. I'm saying, hey, so I don't even anybody in Alaska in my family? No. Midwest. I'm a Jersey guy. Wow.
Where in Alaska were you? I just kind of curious.
The Matanuska River Valley. I knew Sarah Palin before the world knew Sarah Palin. Let's put it that way.
That's interesting.
So I lived in Palmer Wasilla while I was there.
Okay.
And I worked in a kinder music program at the time.
Mhm.
So just worked after school for that district and for a local childcare provider as a kinder music worker. So yeah, it was an interesting time in my life.
Yeah.
And
we
now
gotta do what we gotta do at those
right,
times.
right.
You know, to keep the passion alive, and then finally the world catches up and life catches up, and they realize what a gift you have and what you have to offer, and then you find your sweet spot, and look what has happened since then. So
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, Pete, like for me, honestly, I had to stop trying.
right.
When
Just
I
let it happen.
stopped trying and just kind of let life happen,
Yeah.
then my ducks got in a row.
Yeah.
Then I found happiness, then I found fulfillment in what I was doing. And I think as a performer, you're told you have to be XYZ or you're not going to make it. And that's not the truth. And like, so for me, my passion is making sure kids know vocationally you can do this.
Right.
And there are lots of ways in which you can. And so that changes the conversation in music education when it's not just this performative thing, but it actually is vocational. It is. I view music making like I view scientists, like I view doctors, like I view mathematicians. It changes the conversation. So.
Totally. In fact, Pete, what's your phrase you always say
Which one?
about the type of life?
Oh, a creative life is a happier life, a healthier life, and ultimately a more successful life. Thank you, Aaron.
That's what Drew is reminding me of. So I've got
Totally.
a couple of lanes that just from what you just said that I would like to go down. One, being from an English teacher lens, I feel the same way about books. And I feel like we made that shift maybe a little bit faster than music classes, but we did try to start embracing, like, we've got to have things on our shelves that kids recognize right, that are popular with them, whether or not we want to deem them as classic or having a certain kind of standard. It's just to get them to be interested in something in as an introduction. My question to you is, with books, if you buy the books, you have them on your shelf, there's no worries. How does that work with songs? Do you all have to be careful about certain rights or anything like that? Or because you're in a classroom space, maybe not so much?
I don't know if you want to tackle this, Pete.
Go for it. I'll jump on when you're done. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's something called the ASCAP, which most districts carry an ASCAP license, which allows you that as long as you're not charging admission that doesn't cover the costs of the program, like you're always allowed to recoup costs of the program, but you can't like make money. And there's an ASCAP educational license that you can get that most districts have, which cover most things. You still can't copy music. You still can't, you have to, if you're going to buy something now. And this is what's near and dear to my heart too, though. We rely too much on like buying pieces of music and teaching parts when there are other traditions that teach orally by ear. And we ignore those spaces a lot. And I think that like you can throw a harmony. I can play chords under a melody and help kids find harmonies that work and things like that. And it really trains their ear and things like that. But we do have to be careful. And because of that, music programs, theater programs, dance programs are notoriously more expensive because you have to pay those rights. You have to buy the individual sheets of music. You have to buy, or you have to build a large library in which you can pull from on a regular basis.
But when you're talking about the type of music that we both do, that library, the needs for that library never ends.
Yes.
Right? You always have to stay on the edge. You always got to say, what's feeding the kids now? What's appealing to them now? So
that's really interesting.
Yeah. What's nice though, is that we live in a digital age where I can buy a number of copies digitally, and then I always own those copies. So I can always have 40 copies in circulation and then, destroy those 40 copies, but I'm still entitled to have 40 copies of that. So the digital space has really helped make storage, because that's the other issue. Storage of all this music just becomes it does become overwhelming.
How did, like now that you had a term for it. I just forget what it was, but now that we're past COVID, but we were doing a lot of Zoom
Pancake.
and yeah. So that's actually funny. Were there a different set of rights that were required because you were streaming across the internet?
Yeah, a lot of things were loosened during that time.
Yeah.
But you still, composers and publishing companies quickly adapted and adjusted. And because of it, honestly, there were some great composers, thinking of like the Pod Brothers and some other composers that rose up during that would like neatly package something and say, here, for X amount of dollars, you can copy this as much as you want, and you can have streaming rights to it, and you can produce, online choir videos and things like that. And and those rights still kind of do exist. They're starting to go away slowly, especially when you're in the theater realm. Being able to record things, being able to stream things are slowly starting to kind of go away unless you pay heftily to have that happen. So
I want to keep on going down this rabbit hole, but I'm curious to know more about this. And one of the things that has me thinking is, have you had to deal with a lot of the what do you call them? Not charges, but claims? If you have anything up there, it's funny we're having this conversation right now. Today, I had a claim, Aaron, go against one of our Saturday morning coffee meetups from 4 years ago, and a live stream, and it was a live stream. And but the thing is, it came out of a licensed piece of software, so you could ignore it, but it's just a hassle. And I would hate to see people spend a lot of time. So if you've never encountered that, you might get a little bit more anxious over it. But I've seen these enough times where I'm like, well, I'm not monetizing it. I'm not making money off of it. I'm just going to let it go. But it's really odd that surfaced here 4 years later.
Well, yeah, and the thing about YouTube that's really nice is that you can say, "I'm doing this for educational purposes. It's not I'm not trying to monetize it. I don't need to make money from it." And then a lot of times it goes differently. Also, it's how you list it. If you don't put it out there publicly, but you put it out there unlisted and are just sharing it with your families, it's a little bit different because you're not throwing it out for public consumption. Then you're
Right.
keeping it within your educational community.
Kind
And
of in the fair use bubble, right? So,
yeah.
or
Mhm.
yeah.
The other thought I had during the beginning of the conversation was that you are saying things that are very similar to what I've heard Pete say, and that's that you've kind of got your hand in several different fires. You have a
Amazing.
lot of different experiences in different things that are music oriented, choir oriented, performing arts oriented. So
Mhm.
if someone is thinking about, and I'm thinking about actually someone in my family, but let's ask it for the general audience. If someone is thinking about becoming a music teacher or a drama teacher, what kind of advice would you give to help prepare them for what it's like or what they need to be doing to follow that path?
Oof. And this is interesting because I taught pre-service teachers for years. I have like at the university level, I have worked as a facilitating teacher for student teachers and stuff, and it, it all in music and theater, it's always interesting because to be a performer, you almost have to be larger than life. Sometimes, you have to take on that, and I think that to be a performer and an educator, you have to be that good of a performer. You have to have flipped from it's not about the spotlight, but it's about becoming a sponge and just taking everything. Like a good performer is a good observer. They observe the human form, they observe the human nature, they observe, human interaction, and getting young adults to flip that mindset. It's not about performing, it's about educating. And it's about educating about performative behaviors that it can be taxing to tell someone who is a performer it's not about you is a tough conversation sometimes to have. So plus, sometimes teachers feel that too. Teachers like getting on their soapbox and talking to classes that way.
Mm.
And so you've got kind of a double-edged sword sometimes.
Mm.
So it it and then they don't understand. One of the things that always surprises me, you get student teachers, okay, no, I expect you to come to after school stuff. As a student teacher, I expect you to come see all the stuff that I do. And the reason is I don't want you to be surprised when you go into year one and you don't realize the sheer number of hours after school that you are setting up risers, running sound tests, researching new equipment, listening to songs to find what's perfect for your kiddos, like all of this stuff. And people, and I get that every teacher is that way. Whereas English teachers spend hours grading, essays and, these deep thought, commentaries. We're doing things on the other side that are just like grueling and tiring. Um, we did Chicago this past weekend, Chicago Teen Edition,
Holy
great
cow.
show, but I built a 2-story set. I have a 24-foot catwalk that came out into the audience, and all the other directors are done. All the other teachers are going home, and I'm lugging, 500-pound set pieces and things like that. And people don't get that the life of a music educator and arts educator in general is very different, very, very different. And I say this all the time because people are always like, oh, a music teacher, or oh, a PE teacher, or oh, an art teacher, or, oh, and it's like, oh man, it's one of those empathy things. Like I could not imagine being a math teacher. I can't think that way. I'm a music teacher because all I have to do is count to 3 and 4. Like math is simple for me. And I just I want to walk a day in that. Let them walk a day in my shoes. And I think that sometimes we just have to step back and be like, when you have administrators, the perfect example, when you have administrators that are super into sports, they're the coaches that have become the administrators. The first time they come into a performance where they see it, just like, holy cow, and they look around and they're like, after that, the administrator calls me coach from then on.
Mhm.
And
Or
it's,
I had no idea you guys did this. I had no idea how much goes
Yep.
into this.
yep,
Oh, it
And
just
it's-
magically happens.
yep, yeah. So, and I get it. A lot of times it is kids and their talent and all of that, but it's a lot of blood, sweat, and elbow grease from those fine arts teachers,
A lot of
those
sacrifice.
humanities teachers
Sure.
that are there
And
working. So
stamina.
for new teachers, I would say that. I would say then the other thing that I would say is we focus a lot on new teachers. I feel like we need to like talk about the hump teachers and the downside teachers too.
Oh, yeah, sure.
For me, and I'm doing this evaluation as we speak, I'm realizing it's tougher for me to do all of this. My energy level is going like, so I'm trying to figure out how I can transfer some of those things to other people, how I can delegate within my program, how I can even hand over decision making to someone who is younger and able to be on the edge of social media and be on the edge of like I don't
It's a lot.
Instagram and TikTok, whatever. Like that's just not my thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
And
it's
then-
tough, regardless of what it is, whether it's some kind of performance, sometimes a soccer game, maybe leading a staff development,
Mhm.
department chair meeting, whatever. Sometimes that is hard to kind of let go of whatever control we feel like we have instead of lifting up those around us. And I'm sure part of that is also making sure we're surrounded by the type of people that we can trust or count on or have the same kind of at least maybe values or mindset, but hopefully different skill sets so that we can all collaborate and win together. So that's interesting.
Yeah, the mentoring aspect I think is important. As you brought it up there is really something that we've had been fortunate had some guests in the past, I think, where we did talk about some well-structured mentoring programs. But it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to execute it. And then also revisit it and and tweak it and improve it. But I think it's so important because of the perils that do exist for younger teachers or newer teachers. There and the ranks getting thin right now. It feels like it's important for the more senior sage experience, if you want to call them teachers, to be able to pass that along and pull them along and kind of give them some hope. But I like how you said that, because that's something that does get lost, I think.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we as humans are so like afraid of is change. Like it's like, oh, change is bad. Change is evolution. It's inevitable, So like, as long as we can be okay with the fact that everything's not going to stay the same, we can evolve into something greater. So, it's interesting. I have a doctorate in diversity and equity in, like the educational leadership space. I am a choir teacher right now. I have a degree in something that I'm not even really using. And do I see myself evolving into it? Yeah, and it's happening slowly. I'm on my district and my building. I'm on their racial equity teams. I can help where I can in my community in ways that I want to. So change is inevitable. It's going to happen. And I'm actually looking forward to not spending all-nighters at the school programming cell block tango. I'm looking forward to that,
And I think that's how you keep it fresh. I mean, you talked about like this idea of a teacher in their hump phase of their career, their mid part of it. Yeah, hump day. I think that's the key to it. In fact, it's funny. I just wrote a blog for this week that's about that, Fred. It's actually focusing on higher education because things we've been talking about. And
Okay.
I do think we need to keep things fresh and remind ourselves that things are going to change. They may not change the way that we want them to or like them to, but a lot of times change teaches us something. Change gives us something to look forward to. Change gives us an opportunity to discover things that we didn't know that we would be interested in. So I love that part of the conversation, Pete. And I'm thinking about you too, in that, you what are the ages that you have of your students in their performing arts? Primarily the ones that you've been really, I think the last 2 or 3 years saying
Mhm.
you're gonna do almost everything
Right.
for the production
Right.
of whatever it
Yeah.
is.
So I'm K through 5 general music, chorus 4 and 5, and then I do some work with the middle schools. But my nonprofit, my theater group, yeah, we do upper elementary into middle. We have a few high schoolers, but yeah, we're teaching them soundboard, we're teaching them projection, we're teaching them stage management, we're teaching makeup, helping out with the costumes backstage. There's almost they and it's a big deal. They get the last bow. The whole crew comes out at the end. They know they're the backbone of it. We're a team and they're respected whether you're on the stage or you're behind the scenes. It's a really nice family team. And like you said, coach, I come from a family of coaches. I run things like that as well. Definitely a team mentality. So yeah, and then those kids come back. They come back. They feel it. They feel the community, the family, and hey, I did this last year. I want to do this now this year. Mr. Bush, I learned this new skill. Can we add this? Can I do that? Hey, can I use this power tool now, please? Okay, where's your father? Yeah, stuff like that. It's definitely a beautiful thing.
I'm still stuck. I'm still stuck on the fact that you're doing 5 productions a year. Now this is in the high school.
Yeah. So
Impressive.
we come from a very unique situation. So we are, I am in a township. Like my community is called a township. So we have a high school district with a west campus and an east campus as like the primary campuses. And then just in the past 2 years, we've opened up the Cave, which is the Center for Academic and Vocational Excellence. And it feeds from the whole district, and it has like advanced aviation coursework. There's a daycare that's run out of there. There's pre-med, nurse training, EMT training. We have we have all the industrial arts equipment there, all the CAD equipment there. It's really a unique space. And as a district, we're talking on the west and east campus, like 2,500, 2,600 kids on each campus. So we're talking about like 5,000 high school kids, 6,000 high school kids across the whole district.
Wow.
It's a large district. So like theater wise, here's what we have. We have a children's musical that we do once a year, a children's show where we invite feeder schools, either elementary or middle school kids, to come observe. We do a fall play, just like a straight show. We did, like, just going over our season this past year, we did Secret Garden, the spring edition, as our children's show. Classic, we kind of stayed classic lit this year. So we did that. And then we did Holes as our fall play. And then we do a freshman, sophomore one acts where our juniors and seniors take on leadership roles as directors, producers, designers, and only freshmen and sophomores can be cast in the show, can audition or be cast. And then we do our spring musical, and then we also do a variety show. So, and that's our season.
Wow.
But it does allow for a lot of kids to be involved.
That's impressive.
And that's on top of your choral performances, any kind of performances out in the community, any kind of evaluations and festivals and things like that.
Yeah. And we still do all of that. We do we do our state organizational contest. My students participate at the all state level. I had over 80 kids audition for all state this year. Over 40 made it into all district, and I had some of the top singers in the state. I'm a jazz head. I love vocal jazz. We have a curricular vocal jazz program, all of that. So closed Chicago this weekend, turning around, had to strike the set as much as I could we have a choir concert on Thursday. National Honor Society has induction tonight. We have our Lancer medallion and our senior awards coming up next week. It's the Performing Arts Center, people don't get it. It is a revolving door of people in that space. So,
Drew, let me ask you. So, I hear you too. Like, you pick the show, you design it, you get it going, you get your vision, you get all that going. We live with it a lot longer than the families and the performers and all. So when they're at their peak of excitement, we're kind of over it. And I start to get antsy and a little bored. Do you ever find yourself thinking, okay, I'm looking at who's next year, I'm looking at things, I'm getting a vibe? Are you already starting to think of next season already? Because I'm already dealing with that now. I'm like, I'm thinking about this already.
Yeah. And
I get antsy.
part of it is you have to, because we are like, so like, for instance, our division of the Jimmies, that's the High School Music Theater Awards, the National Association, the St. Louis branch alone has 44 participating schools. So you almost have to know what you're doing, because you have to put in that request. Because what a lot of people don't get is, if I request Chicago Teen Edition and a school within 50 miles has also requested it, they won't allow it to happen. Because they won't give you the rights to do the performance, because they don't want you to compete with each other.
Right.
So, and each show is different about those rules. So we're already planning next season because we have to.
Yep.
And especially in an educational space, because we're not just doing theater to do theater with what kids we have, but what theater can we do to help them grow? You know, to help our actors grow, to help our singers grow, to help our dancers grow, to help our technicians grow. Because that's the difference between just theater for performance and educational theater. And that's the difference between music for performance and educational music. It's not just about sounding good, but what are they learning along the way?
And so I would think then you're probably not unlike a lot of other cities where you also have local youth theater groups, right? Because I'm sure that there's kids that are getting passed over in the school who still want to have that shot, right? And then you got all that going on against you too. So that's impressive, Drew. I mean, from knowing Pete and my own family and you know, our interactions with theater, I'm blown away by that. That's just an impressive structure. I mean, that's a credit to you.
It is,
I guess that's why
you got it's worth it. It's tiring, but it's worth it.
So I guess one of the things that caught my attention, Aaron was sharing some stuff with us, but the Grammy Music Educator of the Year award you were nominated for. How about could you tell us that story?
Yeah. So weird things happen after you work on a dissertation and you spend a long time researching, and suddenly you made that your life and then it's gone. Yeah. And then add in like coming off of the pandemic from when I finished my dissertation and defended and everything. And I was just like, I need things to do. And I went online and literally applied for like every award I could find, every program I could find, everything. And I think in the process, I self-nominated myself for it. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, you had to like connect your school's report card and things like that. And they're like, hey, we think you're a good fit. You're here now. And it started off with thousands and then goes down to, you know, a couple thousand, then it goes down to a couple hundred. And then for 2024, I got down to, I don't even know, if like a semifinalist. So I was top 24 in the country for that.
Wow.
And it's a great honor. It was nerve wracking and a lot of work. I had to do a lot of self-reflective stuff, producing lessons for them to observe, interviews with students and with administration. Yeah, it was a fun journey. I'll wait a couple of years and maybe take another stab at it. But, and I think Pete will get this, like, I literally saw the list of the 24 people that I was nominated with, and there were 3 composer educators in there, like Frizzle and people that I regularly perform with my choirs, who I'm like standing next to or I'm seeing my name next to. And so for me, like, I don't even need to win anymore. Like, just to be seen with that name meant so much to me. And you know, just to have my kids cheer me on in a way, it was fun. So
I think that's the real cool part, is when your students watch you ascend and go through that process. I think that's a real important for them to see. That's good for them to see too.
And I think it's important to remind ourselves, whether it's a self-nominate or someone nominates you, to put your hat in the ring every now and again. What's the harm of it? I mean,
exactly.
Even if you didn't win it, the fact that you got that far, and like you said, you were standing next to people that you have admired, that's so cool. That is so cool. And I don't know if you guys saw, but Dr. Zoss, who professor and mentor of mine from Georgia State's popped in. She's been a guest and real big in art education. So this was a perfect one for her to pop in on real time. And so I hope she's doing well. The other thing I wanted to ask you before, because we're gonna play a little bit game. This is something we're trying to do this year. But I wanted to ask you a little bit, since we're all big Disney fans, Disney educators, a little bit about the Disney Imagination Campus, because I know a lot of schools, I think, are involved or want to be involved in a program like this. So can you tell us a little bit about it and any advice you might have for anyone who's looking to do it?
For my kids, it is the single most impactful thing that they do in their tenure in our, and I say our because I also want to say that I don't do this alone. I had about 5-6 years ago, I convinced the district, hey, look at our numbers. These are increasing. And they got me an associate director. The numbers called for it. And her name is Jessie Williamson. She's a phenom. And it's really great that I can be in a district where I have a treble specialist and a bass baritone tenor specialist working with students. It's amazing. And Jessie is regularly there with me whenever we're getting this Disney stuff together, because I don't know that I could do it alone. What's great is that the people at Disney, their student travel company, will be more than happy to help you along the way as well. I'm going to say, for me, it's worth its weight in gold to work with an educational travel company. We specifically use Bob Rogers because we have a really good working relationship with them, but there are lots of companies out there. Make sure that you vet them to the best of your ability, because the one thing I hate is a bunch of overcharges for their pockets. Because one of the rules that we have that I made with my district is, if you will approve Disney as curriculum for my students, we will make sure that we never leave a student behind. So whichever group gets to go, no matter what, we will fundraise, we will find the funds so that every single student can attend. And for a lot of my students, this is the first time they've traveled outside of the St. Louis region, much less outside of the state, or to a theme park, an experience that is like Disney. But you submit an audition. They do not take everyone. Thousands of schools are submitting, and they only can take a few hundred each year. You can go you can go as performers. You can go as workshop people. You can go as competitors. We audition to be performers. We perform on the stage right across from World of Disney in downtown Disney. Which is great. It's called like the market stage or the waterfront stage.
Yeah.
It's had many different names. What's great about that space is World of Disney's is so busy. When we start performing, there's hardly anyone in the seats. And then by the end of your 20-minute set, it's full. It's packed. But my kids get to spend a day in each park. They get to do a workshop. In the vocal workshop, they literally teach them how recording is done in studio with ensemble voices, and they take like a 10-minute clip from a movie. We did Tangled one year. This past year we did Lion King, and they do the voiceovers and they do the background music for it. And when we leave, we get the 10-minute video of my choir doing the opening sequence of the Lion King.
Cool.
And for my kids, it's just like, it's the most powerful moment. I have curriculum developed where we are doing things like we're watching Phantasmic together every night. Like we were watching The Closer every night. We're sitting down, and then on the bus home, we're analyzing and having conversations about who was working that. How many people do you think were backstage on that show? There's 2 people whose job is to cover up the mermaid on the rock on the back of Steamboat Willie, on the back of the steamboat. Like just having those conversations with the kids And then what's really neat is I've been doing this now for X amount of years at my current school. My kids are going into the college program at Disney now. My kids are getting hired into their theater program. My kids are working as cast members there or at Universal or different places in Orlando or on cruise ships and things like that. So I'm seeing this curriculum work as in placing students in a vocational setting. So
That's exciting. That's a really cool connection. One I hadn't even thought of. So thank you so much for sharing about that.
Yeah.
All right. This leads us nicely into a little game that I came up with. We'll see how this goes. Here's the game. So I thought it'd be fun to read a scenario or a situation, and then we come up with a Disney tune that would fit it.
okay.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun. All right, you ready to play? And you know what? If you can't think of the name of the song, which will be me, if you can say it's that song, in this movie or this TV show that, blah, 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 we'll figure it out. No worries.
And
Okay.
anybody, if you're playing in the chat, try to keep up. I know there's sometimes a delay, but if you can, pop it in there. I guess that's supposed to
Yeah.
do.
All right, so let's do this. I think the next slide, Fred, is the instructions I just gave, which is fine. We can upload this on our Facebook page too if anyone wants to do this with another group themselves. So
I like to
again,
make
we're
the
going to read
colored
a
typing
scenario.
bubble.
Yeah. All right. So the first one, if your students were heading into an important exam, because Pete, this is like testing season right now for us. Big time. Which Disney song would be your motivational anthem for them? I'm thinking I Can Go the Distance. Is that Hercules?
Oh, that was on mine. Yep. That was
Oh, it
one.
was?
Well, no,
Nice.
Aaron, I have plenty. I can't even pick, so don't you worry.
Lord. All right, give us one.
Seize the day, Newsies.
Oh,
We're
nice.
getting ready to do Newsies.
Yeah, I was gonna say hint, hint.
I have a lot, but
For
You
me,
guys think? Yeah,
Almost There.
that was another one.
nice.
Almost There from Princess and the Frog.
Dig a little
Yeah.
deeper, even. Both of them.
Tiana, yeah, or Dig a Little Deeper.
Yeah.
Ooh, Dig a Little Deeper too.
That's a cool.
That's a great one.
Sir Fred.
Well, it's Disney property, but I'm gonna go with from Tron Legacy, the grid.
You could
'Cause I
totally
teach
go
tech.
with that.
I had that for another one.
There you go.
Awesome.
Ooh,
right,
can I
good.
change my answer?
Yeah.
Scales and Arpeggios from Aristocats.
Oh wow.
Oh,
That's a
you
deep dig.
know the basics. You know how to do this. You've practiced. Just do it now.
I love
cool.
that.
That's cool.
That's
All
a
right.
good one.
Try
Try
everything.
everything.
Good first question.
That's a good
Wait,
one.
Aaron,
All right.
what's yours?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Oh, mine. Go the Distance is probably.
that
Okay.
Yeah. Probably. Okay. Let's do another one.
Oh, there's so many just popped in my head now.
I
I'm
mean,
thinking
yeah.
Tarzan too.
What's another one?
Phil Collins.
Yeah. Son of Man or any
Yes.
of those. Or
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, next one.
Yeah.
Here we go. Bam.
All right. Imagine it's the first day of school, even though we're at the end. It's the first day of school. Which Disney tune would you play? There's a typo as your personal soundtrack. I guess if you're
Mhm.
introducing yourself to your students at the beginning of the year, what song would you pick? It's almost like your at bat song, I guess, right? That's got a lot of weight to it, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Pete, what did you come up with? Because I think you've
I had
got.
a few. So I did anything from the pirate soundtrack, anything Hans Zimmer or Klaus Badelt, like he's a pirate or Jack
I
Sparrow.
had the same thought. That's
I
awesome.
seriously-
So did I. Yeah.
I would do that one. There's a track from Big Hero 6 that I think is really good. Hiro Hamada, it's called. And then I was thinking the Portals theme from Endgame. I don't know. I just pictured me walking into my room with a Doctor Strange portal window opening up. But the Avengers Portals track.
You're an epic kind of guy. That's what I'm gathering from this.
Oh, well, tell my family. You hear that? I'm epic. Honey. But, well, you got to grab them. You got to grab them. You got to.
Yeah. I mean, mine would probably be Star Wars, like John Williams, New Hope, like really get it, like really build up. This is
Big
going to be an
fanfare.
amazing year.
Mine would be Topsy Turvy.
Oh wow,
Oh,
Hunchback.
Like,
Dun, 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 dun.
yeah, like my
Nice.
thing is, I life is too short for me to take it too seriously. Like
Yeah.
I love this, but like for me, I'm a musician, I'm a theater guy. Let's just play. Let's
Yes.
play and create, you know?
I
Drew, are you
love that.
familiar? Side note, sorry, can't let it go. Are you familiar with the theatrical score for that for Hunchback?
Oh yes.
It's tremendous, and
Oh
they
yeah.
need to
And
do
what
it
a
more.
great ensemble piece with the choir on stage the whole
Crazy.
time in the church's
There's
choir
such
loft.
there's such
Primo.
amazing music from that.
Yep.
And it totally rejuvenated Stephen Schwartz's career. I mean, there wouldn't be
Yep.
a Wicked or anything if Hunchback didn't come along.
Yep. Agreed.
What do you
I-
think, Fred?
I go with I thought you were going to say it there for a second, Drew. I go with Life is a Highway because I usually start off
Oh.
with talking about my backstory.
Little Cars.
Yeah, from Cars. Yeah, that'd be probably
Nice.
my film. Yeah.
Good pull, Fred.
And they said Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride from Lilo and Stitch. That's a good one too.
Yeah, that's a really
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
Right.
We've done that one.
Who
That
get
will
it?
be a movie soon.
Aaron, did you go?
Yeah, I picked mine is the
Star Wars.
Star
Oh, that's right,
Wars.
Star Wars. Yes, that was a good choice too.
Yeah, yeah.
That's an easy go-to for me.
Yeah.
All right, next
Right.
one.
Yep.
Here we go. Boom.
During a school game, what Disney song would you pick to energize the team and spectators?
This is too easy.
Go for it.
What?
So I'm going High School Musical.
Get your head in the game, right?
Get your head in the game.
Stand up and do the dance. You're wearing the shirt.
I mean, that was a bit of a lob, but
I would maybe do "You're Welcome" from Moana.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
I know that well.
you know what
Hmm.
I think are like such Disney bops, and this is just me. I have not heard a parade song or a nighttime spectacle song that isn't just like amazing. And I can't even think of the name of it right now, but the one that they do out at Disneyland where it's like Mickey spinning records and stuff. Man,
Yes.
it is
No,
so
the
good.
color of the night. You mean that
Yes.
that event?
That is a
I
good
just-
one.
Ooh, I want to research it, but I don't want to click out of here.
No, please do. So Fred earlier mentioned the Tron soundtrack, Daft Punk. That's definitely one for me for this. And then also, I love this DJ that's at all the live events, and he's at like celebrations, and he's at all. His name's DJ Elliott.
Yes.
He's big down in Florida, and he does these crazy mashups and nerd-centric tunes and like top 40 mashups and rock EDM. And I love his stuff. So if we were gonna have an event like that, I try to get him on board.
That's awesome. I like it. Okay.
The
you wanna do
song is
another one?
Good Time. It's a good time.
It's a good time.
It's a
And
good
Yes.
it
time.
mixes
That
like the
is-
Mickey and all that
that's
Yes.
into it.
perfect.
Yes.
Yes.
It is such a it is a bop.
That's amazing.
That is good. That whole series, that whole show is really good.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm going to catch that when we're out there. So that's going to be.
Yeah.
All right. Ready for next one?
Yeah. All right. For a quiet moment of reflection in the school library, which Disney song would set the perfect mood?
I'm terrible with one.
So I'm going to give one that's semi a joke, but real. Go with me here. Epcot, the land.
Mm.
The solo flutist.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing the flute. That'd be
I go with that.
A lot of that atmospheric park music.
Yeah.
Great.
BGM. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going for like I try to find an instrumental piano, acoustic guitar, and just reimaginings of the classics, maybe a light jazz, maybe a trio, whip out the Sherman songbook, the Sherman Brothers or
Yeah.
Alan Menken, and just play that in the background.
Maybe something from Soul. Might
Yeah,
have something nice.
It's a good one. Sure. Yeah.
For me, it would be I love some of like Remember Me and things from Coco.
Oh,
Like
Oh.
that score, everybody thinks of like the really up tempo stuff, but some of the down tempo and just the background tracks in that
Yeah.
are beautiful. That Latin guitar, that it's so beautiful.
Yes.
Agree.
that is a good one. Yeah, that is. I'd go with Avatar.
Mm.
Oh.
I was just trying to think. Would either if you're talking about from the like you have the background music, right? But you also have the music specifically in the River Journey.
Right.
Yep.
We could do that one. A matter of fact, I was just listening to that this morning, so that's a good
The
one.
chat says proud of your boy from Aladdin. That's a great
Oh.
one too.
That is a good
That
one.
one. Nice.
I know the person typing that sang that song in a show. I know
You do?
he sang that. And I was a blubbering mess on the side.
Aw. All right, that was a good one. I think this might be the last one.
Yeah.
Think of a day when everything goes right. What Disney melody would you choose to celebrate the good times? That's tough.
The last 3 minutes of Phantasmic.
Mm.
Oh,
Ooh,
Oh,
nice. How about you, Pete?
Booty You Parade makes me happy year round.
Yes.
I love that. I could listen to that all the time. Songs. I did Friend Like Me, something up tempo, Alan Menken, Zero to Hero, something like that. When Will My Life Begin, Tangled, just something.
Yeah. Tangled, I could sing the whole soundtrack and be so happy.
Or
So happy.
going way back, the Millennium, the Epcot Parade, Tapestry of Dreams.
oh yeah, yeah.
That was some really cool stuff going. That's a nice celebration.
That is good. What do you think, Drew?
well, I don't know. For me, Disney has so much that's just like so good, you know? Um the theme song on Carousel of Progress
You
It's-
took mine. Yes, yes,
it's
yes.
beautifully no matter when, you know? It's always a great big beautiful tomorrow.
And every time
love that.
I sing every time.
I mean,
I had the same thought.
you
I
can't
have been
beat Show
stuck
Me Brothers.
between two rooms though on that ride. It technically is a ride. I have been stuck between two rooms, and I will tell you, it makes you appreciate the song less.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
I can only
It turns
imagine.
into an earworm.
Oh man.
I hear you.
Well, that's it. That was really good. Thanks, everyone,
Yay.
Yes.
for playing.
Oh wait, you know what? I didn't say mine.
Oh.
I was gonna say One Little Spark,
There you go. One little
and that's
spark.
and it's not because I love the song. I think that song's like an earworm song.
Yeah.
It's like da na 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 da
Yes.
na na na, and it keeps on. Da, na, na.
Now, you
So I could be walking
know-
around mindlessly, and that song just comes right into my head.
You need to enjoy that while you can, because
Right.
Oh, I know.
because they have filed paperwork to start to start making some things happen on that ride.
Ah,
So
much change.
Can't beat the Sherman Brothers song though.
No,
no, definitely can't.
no.
I'm trying to think of the movie. It was the one that Billy Joel. I love
Mhm.
that movie. He's the
Why
dog.
should Oliver and Company? Why would I
Yeah.
worry? Why should I
Oh,
worry?
yeah.
Yes,
That's a
that
great
one
one.
too. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
the one with-
underrated.
Is that the one with John Travolta that you said?
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel.
Oh, what was Bolt?
Yeah, that was John Travolta.
That was John. Okay.
I don't think that was.
You know,
Disney.
Trash in the Camp
that
is
wasn't
such an
Disney, though,
underrated
was it? That wasn't
song from
Disney.
Tarzan
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another good one. That's another good one. All right, cool. This went really well, better than
That was
I ever
fun.
imagined. Thanks for
Yeah.
playing. Drew, you are certainly an honorary TPR person just for the fact that you knew all those Disney
Yes.
song facts. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
You
I
are
have a
such
Disney
a treasure.
problem. So,
Yeah.
not that I'm
So do-
counting down, but one of my trips, the 60-day marker was today.
There you
So
go.
I had to get
Well,
up
Very
at
sir,
4:45
you
to
are
book some reservations.
Nice, nice.
you are inspiration and a treasure to, you know, everybody in the music education world and your community. And thank you for all that you're doing. Really, it's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely,
Yes.
guys.
Keep up the great work you're doing. It's so important what you're doing, and you know, you're making it sound so easy too. I hope it's inspiring for our listeners that, you know, to get out there and keep on working towards everything, because it's worth it. It's wow,
Well,
you're
and
doing it on a scale that's amazing.
the thing I would just say is this: find people that help you succeed and help your program succeed. Find programs that respect, as music educators, as theater educators, find programs that respect you,
Nice.
and stay there and foster greatness in your students. That's all you can do and all you can ask for. So,
That's awesome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We were so glad that you came on and hope that you will again for sure.
oh, definitely, friends. Like,
Good.
we're
Good.
Disney peeps. We're good.
All right.
All right.
Nice. And
Nice.
Pete, where can
Hey.
people continue to follow us in the conversation?
Right? Our website, teacherpeprally.com, Facebook group, YouTube, wherever you're listening to us tonight, watching us, leave us a review, subscribe, like. We're also on Instagram. I think that covers all of it.
That does cover all
And
of it.
Aaron, can you tell us what you have coming up this summer?
Yeah, one last thing as we get close to it. So, you know, the conference, I have Main Street PDs coming up. Registration's about to close because I got to get us all set up here for catering and all the swag and stuff. So if you're like us and you enjoy Disney and find inspiration from it and you're in any type of role in education, we'd love for you to come and join us in June. It's June 11th through the 14th. You can go to inspirededucation.info to find more information or just reach out to me. You know, I'll be happy to get you there.
And I think you have another announcement about a guest, possibly.
A special guest speaker. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lou Mangello from WDW Radio is going to be joining, talking about, you know, fits perfectly with the conference. We're talking about risk taking, working on storyboarding for an idea of a solution, a concept, or maybe you know, anything that you haven't had a chance to work on and focus on. And he's going to kind of talk to us about how to do that and how to use Disney as inspiration and then storyboard it so you can take it back to work with you.
And he's a good one to talk about stuff. He's a great speaker, so that'll
Totally.
be
Yeah.
well worth the trip.
Yeah,
You
I'm
pop
very
this down
excited.
here.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you, friends.
Drew, you're awesome.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, you've been great. Thanks, Drew.